Have you ever had an unexpected flood of emotions on your twin flame journey? Like unexpected crying for no apparent reason? I'm going to explain to you why this happens on your twin flame journey or during a spiritual awakening. Hi, my name is Michelle Fondin. I'm the author of 12 published books, including Twin Flame Romance, The Journey to Unconditional Love, and Twin Flame Union, the 7 keys to a healthy twin flame journey. If you have read either of these books and you enjoyed it and found it useful, and you haven't yet left a review on Amazon, I would highly appreciate it if you could leave a review. You can find all of my published books on Amazon and Ingram Spark. Welcome to the Michelle Fondin Author Vlog. This is vlog number 20, where I talk about 1 or 2 of my published books and a topic related to those books. You can find this vlog every single week here on this channel. So if you are new and not yet subscribed, please do subscribe below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all so you don't miss a video. Thank you for engaging, giving the video a thumbs up, leaving a comment in the comments section below. Did you know that I do one-on-one tarot readings? I've been reading for twin flames since 2019. I've been doing tarot readings since 2016. So quite some time. My expertise is love and romance, although I do other topics. You can book that at my website, michellefondinauthor.com. I am here with my friends, Grogu, and Gudetama. I've got Hawaiian Gudetama and 10-year anniversary Gudetama. These are my mascots here on this channel during the vlog. They keep me lighthearted. When I see them in the camera reflection, it just reminds me to keep it light, to not get too heavy. I'm usually addressing some pretty heavy topics on this channel. And so my friends, my mascots help me to keep it light, make some jokes, realize I'm talking to real people who have real lives. And I'm here with my Grogu tumbler, with my Tocino Dandelion Caramel Nut Tea. I think I'm actually going to rewatch The Mandalorian, the whole thing, because it's been a while since I've watched it and I really love The Mandalorian. Here we go. Let's talk about an unexpected flood of emotions. And I'm talking about like crying. No, I am talking about sobbing uncontrollably. Now, I was reminded of this, as some of you know from my previous vlogs, I've been listening a lot to Abraham Hicks recordings, and I've been reading The Vortex and reading Ask and It Is Given, which are books by Esther and Jerry Hicks. So I was listening to an Abraham recording and the line came out that reminded me of this. The line, and I'm paraphrasing, the line that came out through Abraham was, sometimes when you are in such high alignment with source, you are in that state of bliss that you cannot help but have tears in your eyes and crying and this emotional release through sobbing because of that alignment. It's a release and a relief, but it's also this experience of oneness with source. So I don't know about you and how you awakened. Was it through a twin flame journey? Or was it through a different spiritual awakening? And please do comment below as to how you came onto the spiritual journey. For me, if you know my story through my books and videos, by the time I had had my twin flame awakening in 2018, I had already gone through a few spiritual awakenings at different stages in my life. But I will tell you right now that the twin flame awakening was by far the fastest and furious, the most intense, and it helped me to burn through the lessons, the triggers, past karma, whatever it happened to be. But I burned through it pretty quickly. And even though it took some years to integrate, the process was pretty rapid and very intense. Now, one of the things that happened to me where I was like not really understanding what was happening during the early stages of my twin flame journey. I really did not understand it at all. I understood soul-connected relationships. I had been with a soulmate before. And in fact, twice I had been with a soulmate. Never been with my twin flame, but after having met and after having been in a type of romantic relationship, it was more a situationship with my twin flame. And then the separation, even though I was seeing him on a very frequent basis, I got this picture of him, and I explained it in the book, in one of the books, I can't remember which one, but I had this picture of him, and it was probably about 3 months into the connection after having met him. And then it was about 2 months into it where I realized this is something weird, like what is happening? And that is when I discovered the concept of twin flames. And then it was about the 3rd month into it that I had downloaded this picture of him just so I could have the visual, because I was doing a lot of journaling and I was speaking with his higher self, and there was a lot of telepathy going on. But when I downloaded the picture and I printed it out, and in fact, I think I did it for a reading. I had gotten one reading in early January of 2019 to try to understand the connection a little bit better. And I had downloaded the picture for the reader, but then I printed it out. And at night, I was sitting with my journal and I looked at the picture and I had that spontaneous flood of emotion. And it was pretty wild to me. I was not happy. I was not sad. I had just this intense release, but at the very same time, it was this intense feeling of unconditional love. And I did not understand what was happening, but it was like the crying wouldn't stop. And then this intense welling up of this feeling of unconditional love for my twin flame. Now, unbeknownst to me at the time, I really thought that the emotion plus the unconditional love was directed toward the person of my twin flame. I really felt like, oh my God, I love this guy so much. And that is the reason why I'm having so many emotions. Now, this pattern of the flood of emotions continued for about 8 months, nonstop. Now, again, we're giving or taking a couple of months here because it did subside a little bit, but then it would start back up again. But it was like every single night for those 8 months, it was this flood of emotion at night, usually, because I had to keep it together during the day because I had to work. But it was this flood of emotion and this surgence of unconditional love. I don't know. Have you had that with your twin flame or on your twin flame journey? If so, again, put something below so I know that it's not unique to me. I feel like I've spoken to twin flames that have had a similar experience, maybe not 8 months of it. I later, when I really began to think about it and think about this concept of unconditional love and connection to source and the purpose of the twin flame, and when I started writing the books and channeling information, as well as studying the nature through my own experience, of course, and the experience of the clients that I read for and coach, I began to understand really the nature of the soul connection to the twin flame. In fact, sharing a soul, as well as the activation of the twin flame connection through that. But when you connect with the soul that is divinely guided to you, meaning it's a piece of you in the infinite source, it's like the way Abraham actually described it. I heard this very recently, but it's like a clump of souls come on earth together. It's not really individuated as much as we think it is. It's sort of like a clump, and maybe that would be your soul family. So when you are awakened to your twin flame and have that surgence of emotions, that deep emotions, that release, but also this feeling of unconditional love that accompanies it, That's really that you're seeing infinite source in your twin flame. So is it directed towards your twin flame? Yes and no. Like, do you love the person? Sure, but you may not even know the person. So what you're really loving is the soul source that they are. And so that is the part of them that you are seeing. You are seeing source, God, spirit, universal consciousness, your shared soul. You're seeing that in them. And that is why you are so emotional and you have this rising up, this welling up of unconditional love, is because you're seeing the reflection of your soul in them. Now, this is not a unique experience. I'm going to just throw that out there right now. Because if you've ever been, I'm just saying what's happened to me in the past, but if you've ever been in church, for example, and I'm going from my Christian background, if you've ever been in church and if you have heard a sermon or been singing a hymn, a song, and you had tears in your eyes, or you started crying and you couldn't control it, you couldn't stop it from happening, that is you touching upon infinite source. That is you recognizing source and reaching the vibration of bliss. And you have this release, you have this recognition, and your body is reacting to that. If you have the experience of birthing a child or being in the presence of a child that's being born, oftentimes it comes with a flood of emotion where you are happy, you're blissful, but you start crying spontaneously. It's because you are in awe of the perfection of divine source to bring about this human life form that is so incredibly perfect and awe-inspiring in that moment. For me, when I met Amma, the hugging saint, in 2010, when I got up on the stage, I started spontaneously crying for no reason. I wasn't happy, I wasn't sad, but I started crying for no apparent reason up until the time that I got to her. And that is because she holds such a high vibration of divine consciousness that anyone in her presence will automatically calibrate to that level. And again, your body is reacting to the state of higher consciousness, the state of alignment, the state of bliss, the state of unconditional love. Now, if you are a twin flame, I really want you to hear this. Where we can go wrong, and believe me, I've been there, I have done that. Where we can go wrong as a twin flame is we can begin to worship our twin flame as if they were a god. And we do this because in their presence, we feel that divine love, we feel that unconditional love, we feel the flood of emotion as if we were face to face with God himself or themselves. And when we make the mistake of worshiping the person, the ego, the personality, the human flesh form of that person in a way that puts us subservient or lesser than or not worthy of or incapable of being with, we're making a mistake. We're making a mistake. Now, again, this took me years to figure out, like 3.5 years to figure out. It was a long time before I made the difference. And I know if you're on the twin flame journey and you've had that experience of the welling up of this unconditional love and the spontaneous breakdown of your mental well-being for a moment, because you just feel so emotional in their presence, or when you think about them, or even look at their picture. But that is only because you're recognizing the divine essence within them, but really seeing it from a high calibration level. You're seeing your soul in them from that very high calibration level, that state of bliss and unconditional love, But when you think that when they go away, it is also taken away, that is the mistake. That is the mistake that so many twin flames make. And so they spend their entire twin flame journey just trying to get the person back instead of recognizing the divine essence within themselves in order to then attract in the person into their lives once again. And that takes a lot. It takes a lot of spiritual strength, right? Because we're not accustomed to that. We're not accustomed to thinking in that way. We are accustomed to thinking of, if I'm in love with this person, then it is the person I am in love with. And if they're not with me, then I need to go get them back, or I need to change somehow, or I need to talk to them in a certain way, or act in a certain way, or give them gifts and flowers and chocolates and phone calls and douse them with a bunch of attention. And that is the way that I need to get them back, because I need to have that feeling that I had when we first met, or when we first dated, or so on and so forth. And so if you can get that on the twin flame journey, you are miles ahead of the rest. You are miles and miles and miles ahead of the rest. Is that the only reason you felt that flood of emotion, the only reason that you felt the surgence of unconditional love, is because you recognized the soul and you recognized the divine essence within them. And you recognized your divinity that you were seeing as a mirror within them. But the person themselves, which yes, is a part of the soul, of course it is, right? We would not be incarnated into these human bodies if it were not. But the person themselves is not a person to be worshipped. The person themselves is not a person to be thought of as being very high on a pedestal, as an example. The person in and of themselves is a human being having a spiritual experience, or a spiritual being having a human experience. It's a little bit of both, right? When you look at them as being human rather than, oh my God, they're a God that must be worshipped, and if I don't get a hit of that energy, I'm going to be very depressed. So if you look at them as like, they share a soul with me, I have the same divine essence within me, I have access to this unconditional love already within me. It is there. I can access it at any moment, at any time that I want. I don't have to see it in the eyes of another to be able to experience that again. I don't have to look at them as my source of well-being. I don't have to look at them as my source of unconditional love, because I have that within me. So once you really get that, the twin flame journey, or the spiritual journey, becomes so much easier. And I feel like spiritual seekers do this too, right? They really try to find that guru that is going to illuminate their soul, or they try to find the right book or the right program or the right workshop that is going to illuminate their soul to get them to that space of feeling one with source, feeling that unconditional love. When in fact, teachers are wonderful, teachers are great. I've had so many teachers get me to where I am today, but the teachers are not the source. The methodology is not the source. The workshops are not the source. The source is what is inside of you already. And obviously that is what I teach when I teach meditation, is that you have the way to find your spiritual source within you without looking to the outside. But that flood of emotion is just an indication that you can get there, that you can get to that high vibration of bliss, of ecstasy, of joy, of unconditional love, all on your own, right? You didn't need the person to get there. You got there by yourself. And if you got there once, you can get there again. And so that is the pathway that is being shown to you. But don't make the mistake of thinking that that person is the way for you to get to that space. Because the way you get to that space is by turning within. Whew, that was a lot. I didn't even know I was going to say all that. But that is the way we navigate through this twin flame journey. And if you're having a rough time of it, I have 2 twin flame boot camps that are on demand, online. You can work at your own pace, but they really help you to get you through that, to get you to that point. And of course, my books do as well. So I hope this was helpful because it certainly reminded me of those 8 months in time where it actually felt good to have that flood of emotion. There was something calibrating there. Like there was something rising in my vibration there. So it obviously was helpful to me. And when you go through any process that is part of your spiritual awakening, it's always helpful. Don't resist it. Don't resist the dark night of the soul. Don't resist the crying. Don't resist the emotions. It's all really helpful as you navigate through this, as your energy calibrates higher, as you reach those higher vibrational states, all super helpful. But do not mistake the flood of emotion, the welling up of unconditional love for the person being your source on the exterior of you. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you for your support of my YouTube channel. You can buy 5 of my published books. I usually say 1. You can buy 5 of my published books. You can join my meditation course, Twin Flame Bootcamp. You can put something in the comments below. That is free. You can give the video a thumbs up. That's free too. Leave a review on Amazon if you've read my Twin Flame books or any of my other books. That is also free. I want to thank you so much for being here each and every week. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. Click on that bell. Give the video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video.